Impossible things don't just happen. Look at—
Just relax. Even if everyone else suspects Lenny and Lynette. Besides, I doubt Farina understands anymore.
Thanks, Navia.
Best of luck to you.
Ah, finally, you're back. Well, how did...
To be honest, you might be disappointed.
No. We're already very grateful that you were willing to help.
Well now, don't you all look disappointed. Don't tell me that that was to be expected, of course. The guilty can never produce, but don't let that stop you. I shall be terribly disappointed should you—
Since both parties are present, I declare that the trial regarding the magic show incident is now in session. Firstly, in order for the audience to understand the causes and results of the incident, could we please—
Yes, of course. I will explain while Lynette demonstrates on stage. All the...
Thank you, Mr. Linney. In that case, I take your statement to be you ran to and remained hidden within the magic box in the audience stands once the trick began, and—
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor.
In that case, I call upon the prosecution. Lady Farina, do you—
Why, of course I do. Allow me to take the first shot and break this case wide open. Mr. Linney is clearly lying. There is no way you could have been in the box the whole time if you were to abduct Halsey and murder Cowell.
That is simply your hypothesis based on the presumption that I'm guilty.
Oh, is that so? And if I may ask, what—
The roaring countdown of the crowd, of course. That's how I kept track of the time and built anticipation for the...
And you didn't hear anything else at all? Nothing that might—
No, nothing.
I see. But when the count reached 30 seconds or so, there was a thud. One so loud that I believe practically—
Huh?
Hey, hang on. Something—
Yeah, I'm sure he could have heard a noise that loud from inside the box.
I was right by the box, and I definitely heard the thud.
Look at those scales. Could those mean—
Well then, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to use the words of the magician himself. Of course, I have armed myself to do far more than smash your alibi. Confidence cannot go unfounded, and Tell me, aren't you and Lynette actually from the House of the Hearth?
the House of the Hearth?
No wonder they did something like this.
So the serial disappearances were the Fatsui's doing. Now it...
I've got a feeling that what happened on stage probably wasn't just an accident.
That's irrelevant. Our identities have nothing to do with what happened.
Indeed. Then perhaps you could tell us everything that happened during that one. Your first priority is to prove yourself innocent after all. I'm sure there is little that needs to be kept secret now. The Outlander is speechless. My, oh my, don't they look flabbergasted? Now comes the infighting and discord, I suppose. Good thing I made all those preparations. Seems the all-nighter I pulled last night—
Hey, Linny, why didn't you tell us this before?
Order! Order! Mr. Linney, allow me to re-establish the facts. Lady Farina has raised 2 points. First, when the thud was heard in the Opera House, you were neither in the box nor the tunnel. Second, Are these claims true? Please answer my question, Mr. Linney.
I'm sorry. Yes, they're true, Your Honor.
I knew it!
Well, that's it. We might as well move on to the sentencing already.
What should we do now?
Granted. In that case, what is your request?
Is that really necessary? They're already as good.
The defendant deceived their own attorneys. What is their—
Order! Order, I say! Your request is reasonable, and we shall adjourn. This trial will reconvene in what—
So you would stick to Mr. Linney's defense even after knowing what you do now? In that case, my dear audience,
Well, this is awkward. I didn't think the Hydroarch— I'm sorry, Traveler and
Yeah, sorry. Paimon doesn't know where to start. We based our entire reasoning on the assumption that you— not to set the wrong tone or anything, but Paimon's—
I'm very sorry. I know you're angry. I know you've clashed with the Vatui several times before. I wouldn't be surprised if just hearing— but our organization is very, very large, and the Harbingers have very different
Right now, we want to save people. As many as we can.
That's right. I'm sure we're on the same page when it comes to this nation and the disaster that its people might face. I knew if it weren't for our respective identities, we could become good friends. That's why I didn't wish to flat out lie to you. But the truth is very important, but being completely transparent about everything would see us spending more effort than we need to. Right. So, you be the judge. Heck, you met a Fatus who works as a magician, a trickster by trade. But still, I'm asking you to trust me. I am no—
Sorry. Please forgive us.
Well, you both say that, but— Right, let's hear your answer first.
Of course. I'll answer any question you ask. We've been trying to find out how the Oratrice operates. We want to know why it has consciousness. Why can it deliver? During our investigations, we learned that the machine's core is beneath. From that moment on, Lynette and I have been designing this box swap trick.
Is that why you needed a whole minute?
That's right. In truth, the audience would take about 75 seconds to count down from 60, while I would only need 15 to get to the opposite box. So, after jumping into the tunnel, I accessed the Opera House basement via the—
That air vent was created during the construction of the tunnel specifically to execute—
Well, nothing. As soon as I reached that room and was about to investigate, which should have been impossible, of course, I was quite— That voice seemed to recognize me and tried to speak to me. I chose to err on the side of— On the way back, I saw the broken vase and the clothes on the ground, but the countdown was almost finished. After that, the homicide occurred—
Well, that explains why you didn't hear the thud.
Because of that prophecy I told you about, of course. We must know all we can about this nation's secrets in—
That's the only way we can save everyone.
So, there you have it. The whole truth. It was never my wish to proceed under this cloud of mistrust either. But like I said earlier, you can be the judge. If you—
Well, Traveler, you decide. Paimon will follow your lead however you choose.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for giving us a chance.
The current problem is that the scales are tipped pretty badly against you two. If we want to refute the Hydro Archon's accusations, we're gonna— Huh? Oh, Paimon thinks she gets what you—
Both parties have returned to their positions. Let us continue the trial. When last we left off, Mr. Linney acknowledged the new evidence presented by Lady Farina as fact. Therefore, Lady Farina may continue stating—
that took long enough. Now then, if everyone would lend me their attention at this stage, let's revisit that scene from Linney's perspective. countdown began, he entered the tunnel. When the flatbed trolley passed, he opened the box and got into an altercation with Halsey. He did not realize that this sound could be heard by everyone in the opera house, which is why he claimed. Finally, he used the vase to knock her out before making her change clothes to prevent others from recognizing her. At this time, Cowell arrived in the tunnel, having heard that strange noise, and caught So Linny proceeded to knock him out too. Afterward, Linny passed the unconscious Halsey to his accomplice through the magic box in the And there you have it.
Does the defendant's side have any objections to Lady Farina?
The key to refuting Lady Farina is the order of events. According to Linny, he left via the vent after entering the tunnel. Linny went to the room that contains the aura tree. Linny did not take part in the underground altercation.
Attention! Ace Detective Paimon has something to say! When the countdown started, Linny did indeed go into the tunnel. But he immediately used a vent to access the Opera House basement, which is where the underground... Once he reached that area, he heard a voice in what should have been an empty room. The crime scene had already developed by the time he reached the tunnel again. And in order to complete the... Finally, he reached the surface. And that was when the accident happened. Paimon did it! Paimon...
In other words, you believe that he knew nothing.
That's right!
My reasoning?
If that's the case, then if Cowell hadn't entered the tunnel, who was the entire setup meant to kill? Assuming that what you say is true, Linny only needed to kidnap the young girl to cause a new disappearance.
Oh, they have a point.
That's right, you tell him!
And that's why they're partners of mine.
Oh, well, your denial is very strident, I'll give you that. But, of course I do. If he had been in the magic box the whole... You're saying that he wasn't?
That's right! Linny wasn't in the box or in the tunnel. This means that when the crime happened, Linny had... The same clue you used to disprove his alibi has now become the best proof!
Well played. To think you'd use such logic. Well then, if it wasn't Linny who committed the crimes, then who was it?
The deceased's name is Cowl, Linny's assistant. Halsey is the missing person and an ordinary audience member. Could there have been a third person? Halsey is the missing person and an ordinary audience. The deceased's name is Cowl, Linny.
That can't be right. Are you serious?
Oh, is that so?
What I must do next is recreate the truth. What Cowl did, and how he went from wood... No one entered or left the opera... The deceased's name is Cowl. Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel. The sound we heard may have come from... Linny was not in the tunnel at that moment, which gave... It would have been tough for both people to fit into that vent. They would likely have bumped... The sound we heard may have come from a clash. Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel, so there must have been some fear that... The deceased's name is Cowl. No one entered or left the opera... The sound we heard may have come from a... It would have been tough for both people. No one entered or left the opera... The deceased's name is Cowl. Halsey's clothing was in the... No one entered or left the... It would have been tough for both people to...
What's wrong, Traveler? Are you still having trouble?
I see how it is. So the...
Look, since we're at a dead end, why not, just like the trick as it transpired, the end result must have been utterly different from the...
If only we knew how Halsey disappeared.
Well, that would be nice, but the tunnel only has 3 exits, and none of them... And it's not like this is a magic trick where you can just make a real live person disappear.
Excuse my interruption, dear opponents, but do you not see that the crowd...
If the defense is unable to make further effective arguments, we will move on to the next stage of the trial.
Linny was not in the tunnel at that moment, which gave our... The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Halsey and the... The deceased's name is Cowl, Linny's assistant. He would have... The vase was not broken by chance.
Oh, Paimon gets it! It all comes together if Halsey disappeared instead. Lynette escaped from the water tank, vanishing gradually and leaving only clothes behind. If there's a similar method...
Oh, just a moment, please. How could a person ever be transformed into water? This is reality. Must we really? I should think magic tricks are ultimately just illusions and misdirection. But
Even so, I trust the Traveler's judgment. The truth must be out there somewhere. Perhaps some new line of reasoning may open if we try to get... Since Cal was the deceased, we haven't placed much attention on him. But given that we aren't making much progress with the case, it wouldn't hurt to have a look at his belongings, would it?
People really do come up with all sorts of harebrained schemes when at the end of their rope.
Nevertheless, I believe that this is a reasonable request on the part of an attorney. Since the trial does indeed appear to be at an impasse, guards, please step into the lounge and examine the personally.
We are still examining the items, but we have already made critical progress that we feel must be shared with everyone. We discovered several test tubes of fluid within Cowell's baggage, each labeled separately. The notebook in his backpack claims that these fluids are water from the primordial sea. The note's contents also indicate that Cowell belonged to an organization that sells illegal drugs and that he had an accomplice. The notebook has many entries concerning safe usage of these fluids, in which the keyword dissolve appears many times. One of these tubes was labeled Opera Epiclese, along with yesterday's date. It is empty. The notes also state that these dissolution properties work exclusively on people from Fontaine. It's likely that Halsey was chosen as some sort of test. As such, we believe that the defense's hypothesis is, in fact, supported.
You've got to be kidding! People dissolving into water?
Could something so ridiculous
Wait a moment. This reminds me of a certain prophecy, but it's just a coincidence, isn't it?
Huh. If people can become water, does that mean that the water tank's real use was as a... Wait just a minute. Could that mean...
Demoiselle, wait! What about your partner?
Let's go. Just trust me.
Order! Order! It is undeniable that further examination of the deceased's personal effects has yielded. Still, let us assume that these clues are indeed authentic, albeit with the understanding that Ms. Guards, please continue examining the items along these lines. Mr. Linney, it appears your hypothesis is supported by the evidence.
Of course. Thank you, Your Honor. If we uphold this hypothesis, I believe that many of this case's seemingly unrelated clues can be connected together.
Right! Like the metal hook! Let's think about this. Cowell's methods must have something to do with that water from...
Lynette was in the magic box on stage. I remember there was... The deceased's name is... The rope that held the water... The deceased's name is Cowell, Linny's assistant. Now it seems like the hook rope was... The water from the The deceased's name is... Now it seems like the hook rope was not meant... The rope that held the water tank... Lynette was in the magic box. I remember there was... The rope that held the water... Lynette was in the magic box. I remember there was... The water from the
It's Ace Detective Paimon's in the original plan. Cowell would tamper with the water tank rope, and the number selector securing his... When the magic box containing Halsey was lowered, the metal hook would retract gradually and pierce the balloon at the top of the box. When the balloon attached to the box popped, the water from the primordial seeds... Afterward, Cowell would enter the tunnel and break the flower vase to conceal the water inside the tunnel. But he encountered something unexpected in the tunnel and wound up being fatally hit by the same water tank he meant to use to cover his tracks.
Huh. That does make sense.
That actually links together a lot of the more confusing pieces of evidence.
Oh dear, what do I do? Even I think they sound convincing now. Have I...
Now, It seems like the only point of contention remaining is the exact circumstances. His notes mentioned he had an accomplice who could be related.
On that note, the guards have just contacted me. I shall now invite him on stage to share it with us.
Thank you, Your Honor. We were just inspecting the luggage of the... and we found an identical sample of the water from the primordial sea.
What?
That can't be.
Oh, I see. Does this not clear all doubt, my dear citizens? My loyal audience, allow me to present my... Linny did not need to take part in the dissolution of the young woman at all. Indeed, having made modifications to the props beforehand, his accomplice Cowl, but upon his return, in cruel avarice, ultimately, he knocked Cowl out, and the tool meant to cut. Now, as much as I regret having come to such a viciously straightforward conclusion, am I right, Miss?
We've used up all the evidence we collected. Is this the end of the road?
Oh no. Paimon can't think of any... seems using the water as new evidence was too good a move. Why did this...
I think we've all seen enough now. I believe this is indeed the Now then, my good, noble Chief Justice.
Excuse me, everyone, but I must interject.
Miss, I must ask you not to shout. And to...
Oh, come on. Don't be hasty. I have a good reason for interrupting, you know. Now, would anyone here... I'll show you an amazing trick. One that can bring a young woman who has disappeared.
What in the world is she saying?
No offense, miss, but miracles like that are beyond...
Come on now, don't be silly. Magic is all about misdirection, isn't it? It often conceals the truth while but once everyone believes the illusion, can't magic reveal the truth to them once again? And wouldn't such a trick be the most marvelous finale to Come on, Linny and Lynette. Give it another go. Don't worry. Spina di Rasula. But, as the magic makers and stars of the show, I think I should leave the final performance.
I understand.
And voila.
Sorry for the interruption.
Wait, isn't that Halsey? So, the whole thing about...
To be clear, I'm only here because this person told me that if I testified, the merit of doing so would lessen my sentence. I was hiding outside this room listening to the proceedings because I was afraid that I would be the one. I was just feeling happy that no one had noticed me. And then, before I knew it...
That'll teach you to underestimate us.
Where should I begin? I'm sorry. I'm the one who killed Cow.
What? Why?
Firstly, my name isn't Halsey. It's Lillian, and I'm originally from Mondstadt. I heard that Linny's show was gonna be a real thriller, but I missed the chance to buy a ticket. That's how I make a living. I steal stuff here and there. And I'd never been... But I was noticed at the harbor a few days ago, and I barely got away. Linny was the one who caught me in the act.
Hey, no wonder you look familiar. So you were the thief. Liddy even mentioned that you were pretty skilled.
Well, and I thought that would have been the end of it, but then the number selector chose me. He even mentioned the Fortress of Meripede. That's a prison, isn't it? So you can imagine how shocked I was. I thought he was onto me for sure. So I played along with the show while looking for an opening to flee, but then I got water poured on me for no reason, and then someone jumped into the tunnel to nab me. I wasn't going to take that lying down, so I knocked him out and stuffed him into the box. There was nowhere to run from there, though, so I had to change my clothes and hide in a box containing I slipped out after the first guard arrived at the scene and continued hiding inside the opera house.
Can a person even hide in there?
But I swear, I didn't know that the water tank would fall down. Really, I swear it. Had I known that, I wouldn't have put him in the magic box. I may be a thief, but I'm...
Well, that makes everything pretty clear now, doesn't it?
This time, we need to tell the entire... Lillian. The strange sound wasn't from a fight. The flower vase was not broken to cover anything up.
And it's Ace Detective Pаймон! Having been selected out of the blue, Lillian panicked. Her panic only intensified after she entered the tunnel and had water poured on her head. Hearing the commotion, Cowell leapt into the... He did not know that Lillian was not from Fontaine, mistakenly believing that the water from the primordial sea needed time to take effect. The two broke the flower vase during the struggle, but with no way of escaping, she changed her clothes. That she would have to go through guard inspection if she tried to leave out.
She had already become desperately hungry by the time we were chatting over macarons. So, she swiped 2 of them right under our...
At this point, all the events that happened in the
so that's the whole...
Bravo! Bravo!
Now then, Lady Farina, do you wish to speak against... Please answer the question, Lady Farina. Also, if I may add, the trial has not yet ended. As such, I request that the prosecution not leave...
What? Are you reading my mind? No, I have no further argument.
Wow! Look at that!
If there are no objections, then as the Chief Justice of Fontaine, I shall once... The actual perpetrator of the serial disappearances, Cowell, selected his next victim from the audience reservation list. With some modifications to the selector, he could ensure that the pre-selected young woman, to cover up any evidence while committing the deed, Cowell thought of allowing the water tank to fall. He also tampered with the rope suspending the water tank, using the fireworks at the end of the performance to cause the tank to drop. He poured the water from the primordial sea into a balloon during the preparation of the magic box, and stuck it to the box's lid. Finally, he passed the prepared hook on a rope through the gap in the magic box's door when bringing the young woman to said box. When the magic trick officially began, the box containing the woman was lowered into the tunnel, tightening the hook rope and bursting the balloon. If all had gone to plan, the young woman would be dissolved at this time. However, Lillian was not from Fontaine and thus fled the box with a loud noise. Realizing that there was trouble, Cowell entered the tunnel and met Lillian. Thinking that the waters had not yet taken effect, he decided to proceed. However, his opponent was more capable than he thought, and he was overcome, knocked unconscious, and placed into the magic box. Lillian, according to her own statements, then changed clothes and hid until the performance ended, before hiding in other... As for Linny, he was in the underground structures within the Opera House, and was... From this reconstruction of events, we can conclude that Linny, the accused... While there is much in Linny and Lillian's conduct that should... This case, at least, can be handed over to the Oratrice to make the final decision. As such, Linny and Lynette are officially declared.
Victory for Ace Detective Paimon!
Great work, partners.
Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Next, I think we deserve an explanation, Guard Vaughn. How did you find the water from the primordial sea in Linny's baggage?
Right! Your discovery caused me to make a serious mistake, you know.
I suspect that the accomplice mentioned in Cowell's notes was not Linny. I'm sure you know what you must do to lessen your sentence.
Speak quickly! Unless you want to earn yourself a one-way ticket to Coupon Town.
I was just following orders. We were supposed to place blame for the serial disappearances onto Linny, and thus cause suspicion to fall on the Fatui. The higher-ups said this was the best—
And now that your plan has fallen through, and the secrets of the water have been revealed, you have therefore you would be wise to tell everything you know.
Yes, I'll tell you everything I know. Our boss discovered that the water can cause people to dissolve. It can also be made into a potion, which when extremely diluted, can cause people to experience unforgettable We've been in this business for a while now, and have made decent more off it. The disappearances were—
And now he can no longer talk.
Such ruthlessness. I shouldn't have
An outrageous act. All present, please submit to inspection immediately.
So, we're just going back now? That's true?
Traveler, Paimon! Please wait.
Linny...
I know you may not want to speak to me right now. Maybe you don't even want to look, but still. Let me thank you again for defending me to the end. Even after you learned that I'm a member of the Fatui. I guess. But I didn't approach you with any ulterior motives or ill intent. I've spoken to you as for why I'm a Fatus, it's because the goals of the House of the Hearth align with those of an orphan like that was how Father, who you might know as the Knave, approached recruiting us back then too.
The Knave? The one who controls the House of the Hearth? She's your father?
That's right. And since we're here, I was wondering, back when our parents first died, Lynette and I were left wandering. To survive, I took to surreptitiously observing an older street performer who did magic. I took my sister through several streets until we found a crowded corner. To my surprise, we proved to be pretty popular, and we could at least stop worrying about where our next meal would come from for a time. Before long, an aristocrat came to me and claimed that he wished to take us in.
So you went from orphans to nobility just like that?
That was how we felt at first too. As if fate was on our side, but I gradually discovered that while we were called foster children, he was really after my talent for magic trick. He would constantly take me to all sorts of banquets to garner attention, which he would then use to expand his social circles.
That doesn't seem too bad either. Better than
It took a while for me to realize. After one particular performance at a banquet, I discovered that Lynette was not on the same return vehicle. I waited a long time after we returned home, but she did not come back. The answer he gave me was, she caught the eye of the most eminent person at the banquet, so I sent her over as a gift.
Oh no. So he was... But wouldn't Fontaine's laws deal with such people?
As far as outsiders are concerned, this is a relationship akin to adoption or foster care. And they have their ways of escaping. I managed to ferret out the location of the mansion of that so-called eminent person and hurried through the night. All I saw was the moonlit ground covered in blood.
So, she'd already taken...
That's right. She had rescued my sister before she could come to any harm, and had even discovered several girls hidden in a basement. Father, the Knave, might have seen something in me, and the House of the Hearth welcomes you, for your interests align with ours. Here, none will ever betray you. Indeed, betrayal shall never be permitted here. I was hesitant to trust her. I mean, I had just been betrayed, but she was also quick to destroy the noble who had taken us in at first.
Oh, so that's how the two of you joined the House of the Hearth.
She has her own plans. She has gained permission from the Tsaritsa to first use the Gnosis's power once she obtains it. She plans to use it to find a way to break the prophecy and save Fontaine.
So, she believes in—
That's right. The whole House of the Hearth is currently working to Today's case has also proven that people from Fontaine can indeed dissolve into some sort of Everyone at Hotel Bouffe d'été, including the knave, has their roots in Fontaine. And we will always defend our homeland. To us orphans, the only connection we have left to this world.
So, from small deeds like distributing magic pockets to huge schemes like stealing a Gnosis,
It's all right. I understand. I just hope you can understand that even as a member of the House, I have never stopped making my own decisions. If you should need anything at all in the future, feel free to find me.
Bye, Linny!
As one with wind and cloud!
Hey there. What was with the disappearing act you pulled right as the trial ended?
Were you looking for us, Navia?
Well, this whole thing isn't exactly over, is it? I do feel that we're— Huh? What's wrong, my dear partner?
Besides, are you sure we're the ones who can crack a case? And given that there's new evidence from the trial, there should be a
Ah, I see. Well, I won't lie. I'm a little shocked to— Sorry. I might have been too presumptuous.
Don't say that, Navia.
Aw, and we were having so much fun investigating with you, too. It was like having new waters flowing into a stagnant mire, causing new hope to spring— Sorry about that. Wait, shall we have a farewell meal? You know, to—
Huh? Do we really need to get that formal?
Well, I'd just like to have a proper ending to every important memory. That way there are no— Anyway, it would just be a meal, so it shouldn't take up too much of your time.
You don't have to twist Paimon's arm. If Boss Navia's treating, count Paimon in!
Oh, wonderful. In that case, why don't we return to the court of Fontaine and head to the Hotel de Boer?
All right, then. Let's have our